Well, getting real-world experience is something high school students look for when it comes to their first job. And over the past few months on this show, we've shared stories of Dunellen High School students taking field trips to local businesses to learn more about the working world. They've also held mock job interviews to see how their communication skills measure up. And today, the director of the Pathways to Prosperity program, Sarah Lafise, joins us with more information. Sarah, great to see you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
I guess the first question here is, where did you really get this idea for this program?
Well, I started working with Marion County students in the career and technical education field about 4 years ago, and I was new to the area.
Okay.
And so learning, my first year here working, I learned so much about what's in our community in the manufacturing field and all different areas. And I thought, I come in and I speak to these students for 45 minutes, on a day about opportunities, about, being prepared for employment and for success. And I thought, that's what I get, 45 minutes. I hope I make a difference,
Not a lot of time.
Right. And so I wanted to do something where they're spending more time thinking about what is in their future, and then also just learning about their community. There's so much in our backyard that you don't even know exists, and I wanted to give them that opportunity and something that for an entire school year they're thinking, about their future and really starting to pay attention. One of my favorite quotes is, "You become what you think about most of the time." I wanted them to be thinking about, their future and how to prepare for that.
How long does it take to put something like this together? It's a pretty extensive program.
It is, but it's amazing. The community can really come together when they know that this is going to be something that's good for our future. And so it took probably 6 months of planning and talking to different business owners and leaders, and obviously the people that I work with in the CTE department and at CF and CTAE, and just really getting a lot of leaders together.
You've touched on this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What kind of cooperation does it take?
A lot. Obviously, you really have to have a lot of communication with a lot of different people. You have to have principal support, absolutely, and they have been so supportive up to this point. And having, staff and teachers at the schools that will work and communicate with you to make sure that it's going to be successful.
So you've got everything in line behind the scenes, if you will. How do you convince students that this is something they really should do and want to do?
That's a great question. I tried to do, some little frivolous things. They get free T-shirts, or they're getting fed free lunch, a lot of times free breakfast, but really making it as fun and hands-on as possible. And like I said, I can't do it without the teachers and the guidance counselors and the principals at the schools, because I'm not there, every school day. So that they can do that, and they can really encourage these students. You don't want to miss that. We're having a field trip coming up next week. And a lot of times I have experienced where some students say, "Oh, well, I'm not really interested in ag. I'm not really interested in culinary, so I'm not going to go on that day." And I need, and I try to really encourage them, and also, my teammates at the schools, to say, "Well, you never know. Just go, and you may learn something that you had no idea was even out there." And so, it's kind of going to be that group effort. And I am hoping, as it expands, that those that have been in the program before really encourage, their underclassmen to be a part of it and say, "No, it was worth it. Do it."
What kind of success rate? How do you measure the success of it?
There's a couple of different goals that we have because a lot of this program is funded by Perkins grant money. We want to make sure that these students are being what we call program completers. So they've completed 3 years in a particular CTE program. So we track that. I look at grade point averages. I look at, honestly, just are they on track to graduate? Do they have the scores that they need? And then I want to, it's still very new. My first group is about to graduate high school this year. And so I really want to help them, get a job, get accepted into a post-secondary education level, whether it is at a university or at CF or at Santa Fe, CTAE, getting that further education and certifications.
What about the feedback? Now, maybe a little earlier since this is your first graduating class, if you will, but what kind of feedback have you gotten from the students?
Really good. Honestly, it's been, the 2 years were very different, and I'm learning as we go here, what we need to target and what we need to do better at. One of my favorite days that I think I've gotten the most positive feedback on is the last day, their graduation day.
Sure.
They have mock job interviews, and I try to line up people in the community, HR representatives, business owners that are in the field that they're interested in.
Oh, yeah.
And so they get that. They have to come with a resume. This year they actually got 2 different interviews, so they got to experience 2 different interview styles because everybody, is a little different.
Sure.
And then after lunch, we did a financial literacy training, a workshop where they learned, buying a used car versus a new car and so forth. And then they got a Dave Ramsey book to take home with them, to talk, just to plan, financially how to be successful. And they enjoyed that.
Well, it sounds like things are already off and running to a good start. How do you plan to expand the program? You kind of touched on that a little earlier.
Yes. This coming year, pending Perkins grant funding,
Sure.
of course, we're going to expand and do 3 different high schools this year. So we're hoping to expand to Bellevue and Lake Weir.
Are you ready for that?
I hope so. I'm certainly, I'm very excited to do it. And all of the principals and the staff have been excited to do it as well. So.
We mentioned student feedback and the involvement of businesses in our community. What about parents? They got to be part of this big picture too.
They are. At the end of the year, I send a questionnaire home with them to say, have you noticed a difference in your child? Are they talking more about schools? Or are they talking more about the businesses that they've seen in Ocala? And I've gotten some, some good reviews there as well. But honestly, that's probably the extent. They do have to have permission, obviously, to be a part of it. So.
All right, last question and the hardest question, or the easiest question. What do you get out of all this?
Oh, my gosh.
You're beaming now. I can tell that
Yes.
you really, really
This
love it.
is my favorite part of my job. I have, grandiose dreams of where this program can go. I'd love to have it in every high school because I just think it's important. We need a PR campaign for career and technical education. I know that education after high school is so important, but sometimes I think we get too stuck in everyone being college ready, college ready, college ready.
And we know that's not the truth.
Well, and we have to realize that there are so many other jobs that are out there, and all of them do require some education and some training, but a lot of them are very, very lucrative, and they don't require a bachelor's degree from a university or a master's or a doctorate, and I think there's this group of students that we can really, really affect change by giving them that extra time and that extra exposure. So it is definitely, something I've found a passion for and hope to continue.
I would say good luck with the program, but you don't need that because it's already off to a great running start.
Thank
and
you
I
very
just
much.
say, just keep involved. There are a lot of kids who truly benefit from what you're doing, and the time that you invested is well spent.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, and
Thank
thank you for your passion and
I've
your
enjoyed
efforts.
it.
All right,
Yes,
Sarah.
sir.